I did in a few of the units, particularly the RT building, like Joe mentioned. For some reason, that building had a lot of it. Upstairs in the first floor, down in the basement, there was quite a bit as well. I noticed that too. Perhaps there's a lot of coyotes in the area. And back then when I used to go, a lot of the windows and the doors were open. So I'm sure a lot of the animals or the wildlife managed to get inside.
Okay. Do you have some questions, Don?
Hey, Frank, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask this question. It's a little bit off topic, but you brought it up, and it's something that's been rolling around the back of my head for a while. And actually, anybody in the chat room might be able to chime in on this one too. In the texting, is that isn't it odd how it seems to me like a lot of these places that we go to, whether it's Camarillo or other different places or jails or whatever, it seems like when people go there afterwards and they do the graffiti or whatever, they always seem to like revert to these dark topics in their graffiti. Like they focus in a lot on death, and they'll write stuff about death, or they'll write stuff about satanic stuff, and it's really strange because it's not the type of graffiti that you see in other places. When kids break into places or whatever, and but it seems to like gather in these type places. I just wanted to know, ask Frank if he's still in the room,
He just
or
came back
anybody
in.
in the chat room, whether they've experienced that or noticed that themselves.
Has anybody from OCPS or NOPS experienced that in their investigation? Oh, wait, Andrea has. Do you think it's mostly Andrea and Joe? Do you think it's mostly it's because they think that's what it should be? That's the kind of thing they should be writing. Oh, this is a evil place where evil spirits are, so we're gonna write stuff to appease them, and we're gonna be cool. And is it more like let's say the Hot Topic crowd rather than the actual occult crowd doing that?
Well, don't get me wrong. Whether it's a Hot Topic crowd or let's say some actual people that are doing some dark things, what is it that's drawing them to these places? Is it because inherently these places are already dark, and so this is what they're being looked for? Like for instance, in the adolescent ward, somebody had broken in and smashed out all the windows in every door almost down that hallway by the elevator, and that was really a shame. Like, even though that building might be taken down or whatever, but still that they went through the trouble of that type of destruction and that type of thing. It kind of rings sort of the same. So I don't know whether it's the building that's drawing these people into it. Maybe there's some sort of exchange of energy. I don't know. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, I wondered that too because, like you mentioned, the RT building, maybe perhaps the kids in the school or like you said, other people or kids that get attracted to places like this. Like, for example, the Scary Dairy, which is connected to Camarillo, I think you've been there too, where it's just tagged up and full of graffiti, and there's rumors of like Satan worshippers there, and I always wondered why. What would attract these people to go to this specific place? Is it just because people talk about it and and they think it's a cool thing to do, just to go there and see what kind of spirits they can speak to or what they can do? Maybe that's all it is. I think that it just attracts those type of people there because maybe it has more energy, or for them to do whatever it is that they're trying to do, to communicate with.
Well, this question is for Joe and Frank. When I first went there, I found that I couldn't stop thinking about the place at all. The first time I went there, that's all I thought about. I remember for a whole week, like it was just imprinted in my brain, and I just wanted to go back. Was that how it was for you guys when you first set foot at Camarillo and you investigated?
Yeah, it was. It's always been like that for me. In fact, I'm changing up my presentation this Thursday to the psychological effects that Camarillo has basically taken a toll on us as investigators, and for that exact reason, that not only you, but it's happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of people that have gone to Camarillo and investigated there, that we'll go on for a week thinking about it over and over and over, and, especially when we have an interaction, with a particular spirit in a unit, or not only that, but just the amount of heaviness of energy that's in these units, that for some reason, I don't think that I don't think anything follows us home, but I think it's just so heavy, it's just so strong that it stays in our mind the entire time, and all we can think about is going back, and thinking about the next time we go back, we're gonna try this door, we're gonna try this unit, or we just have to go back, because of the amount of maybe EVPs that we got, or what we experience in these units. It's like no other. Like Joe mentioned, you start to compare Camarillo to all these other places you've been to, and nothing compares to it. And that's one thing that kind of sticks in your mind, and it's just psychologically, it messes with you every time when we think about Camarillo, or we even think of a song like Hotel California, or anything like that, reminds us so much of Camarillo, or we'll just get the sudden urge where we're like, man, we need to go. We just got to go. And I think that happens to a lot of people. I mean, would you agree, Joe?
Yeah, we were the same way. I mean, me and Becky would go there, and like for the rest of the week, we would be. For us, it would be like, okay, well, next time I go, I want to try this. Or let's try this experiment. And we would sit there, and both of us would go back and forth with each other. But there is a draw that we physically you could notice. It was a draw that would call you back and back again, And there was so many different little things that would happen. You would feel like, I was talking to Frank about this the other day, how it almost seemed like Camarillo knew you were coming that day. Like from the moment you woke up, things would be set in motion. And it would be like, in the back of your head, you would know, like, at one point, me and Becky would look at each other and say, it's calling us back, we have to go back. And I think that what I see now is I see a lot of groups that go there, and it seems like they're going there for fun, and that's cool and everything. But it's just that, people, when we used to go, and I know that was the same with Frank and that party guy that used to hang with, that it was taken seriously. It was a very serious thing, and I think that might be lacking a little bit. It was taken very serious. It was like when we're going to Camarillo, it was something that was like, it was a big deal. It wasn't like, oh, we're just gonna pop in. It was like a very serious thing. It was almost a ritual that was built up behind going, and that's one of the reasons that me and Becky have stopped going, because we started getting to the point where we started seeing, we felt like we learned everything we could from the place ourselves. I mean, you could go there for your whole life, but I felt like we'd gotten to that point, and we didn't want to continue being pulled back in. So, there are a lot of very dark and heavy things that go on there, and so when I look at Facebook and I see groups, going in, and it looks like they're going in for their first or second time, like I'll get excited again, but at the same time, there's a part of me that like worries for them, because this could very easily, bring back attachments and stuff that are going to be very difficult to get rid of later on.
Do you think Camarillo, once all the old buildings have been refurbished and students are in there, do you think the same level of darkness and heaviness is gonna remain, Frank or Joe?
Yeah, I do. I believe so. In fact, a lot of the buildings that have already been refurbished and renovated are already, reporting activity. Some of the students that we've talked to, that we've heard, along with some of the workers there, have felt quite a bit of activity in these buildings. Some of the old buildings that I know that I used to go into, like Unit 25, Unit 24, that have been renovated already. Back in the day, we used to get a ton EVP and out of these buildings. And so I know a lot of the students have complained and reported paranormal activity in these buildings. So I think it's always going to be there. It's just imprinted there, and it's always going to be there no matter what.
Yeah, we've done. We've actually spoken with different people that work there, and we've gotten the same information back from everyone, and that is, the college does not want the memory or the thought or whatever of what it used to be brought up again. So they pretty much tell their people that, and this is direct. Am I still coming through?
You're back.
Happens there. But a lot of people there have had experiences, people that work there. I've heard that there's been people that have just walked off their jobs because they've had an apparition manifest in front of them, and they just lost it. They just walked out. I've also heard from people that work there that it's happened on more than one occasion where you'll have entire dorms of students huddled together in the hallways because the activity is so intense. You can't wash away emotion and darkness that's there. It happens. And it'll never be. I think that Camarillo probably had something to it that made it come to it. That's really interesting. I need to work on that. I was speaking with Dapper once, and Dapper was telling me that from the research that they had done on it, that at one point it was some place that was very important to the Indians in the area that considered a very highly holy place, and then something happened, and they don't know what it is, but something happened, and then nobody would even go there. And so maybe that was the beginning of the energy that was being, the energy flipped or something. And then, you'll find this many times, and I'm sure Frank and everyone, that's been out and experiences this, where there'll be certain places of darkness that will call darkness to it. And so, in other words, like a good example is the Wolf Manor. It starts off with one thing, it could be like a hospital, and then it turns into, something else, but it's constantly, dark things are constantly being drawn to it. And the same exact thing must happen on the other end too. There must be places of great happiness that constantly draw happiness to it. But I just haven't found too many.
Would that be Disneyland?
Maybe that's it. Oh, that's the place at Disneyland.
Okay, so what do you think that when you first started going to Camarillo, what was your favorite encounter there, I guess you can say? Say like the first couple months that you started going. Did something stick out in your head of what you encountered there, or EVP or anything?
Yeah. I'm trying to think back because it's been so long. I think the the morgue down inside the RT building, which is underground. I think going there, for the first couple times was very unnerving for us. Walking down 2 flights of stairs in total darkness, and with only one way in and one way out, and then getting to the underground, walking down the long hallway, again in complete darkness, into the what used to be the morgue, and then across from the morgue they had the autopsy room, which was pretty crazy. So kind of walking in there without any light, and then just seeing the freezers there and everything. We caught some pretty good EVPs there before. We had some pretty cool experiences there with some doors slamming on us and things like that. When obviously there shouldn't have been, because there's no way out. There's no windows or doors that lead to the outside. And I think that was probably it. For the first year or so, that building was accessible, the morgue was accessible. And I remember going down there a few times, with a group of people. And at one point, where it got really crazy, where we had a couple doors slamming on us down there, some of the people were freaking out. You know, I got on the radio and I called my former buddy there, trying to get him over there, and you know, just couldn't get through because of where we were. We were underground. You know, and then maybe, you know, worrying about maybe a door locking on us, you know, while we were down there and not being able to get out. You know, things like that. You know, a lot of the units are kind of the same. They're laid out the same. You know, but as far as the RT building, that's the only one that kind of sticks out because it's kind of like a maze. You know, there's just so many corridors and so many doors, and you know, you could have almost got lost down there because there's just, you have to kind of know your way, almost leave a trail of you know, of the way you're coming in, so you can remember how to get back out.
I've seen at least one video where there's an encounter like someone got scratched. Have you had any attacks or anything at all similar to something like that in your time at Camarillo, Frank?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've had quite a few encounters like that. Not only myself, but a few other investigators, where some investigators were grabbed by the arm. Some people were actually touched. You know, had their hair pulled.
Oh, darn it.
Aww.
How about you, Joe? Besides, I saw one video about somebody being scratched. Was there any more occasions like that where there's physical attacks?
Yeah, I actually have it on film, but I never put it out. And that's one time when we were in the Unit 26, I believe, and we were with one of the, which is now the Paranormal Housewives, Kimberly Dimberly. And she was actually, I was filming her, and all of a sudden she just jerks forward and starts saying like, ouch. And the whole time I got her in frame, right?
Yeah.
And we asked her what happened. She said she got scratched, and like our first reaction was all to start lifting her shirt, you know? And then I literally had to catch myself because like, I was like, wait a minute, like, you didn't start taking your shirt off. So I had to like, I actually stopped and I said, is it okay if we see your back, right? And
I got to remember that move.
And she did have a scratch, and you could see it in the video. But she was standing there, and all of a sudden she got a scratch from behind her, and I could see where her hands were, and it wasn't anything that she did. It was I've never actually released that, but I have that on video. Maybe I'll let that out one day. Well, I should probably put that out under evidence. I think that'd be good. I'd just have to give her okay, you know. But now that she's going to be a big TV star, I don't know whether that's important. Well, I could ask.
Yeah.
And put it out so other people can see it. That was really interesting. But the other things that I experienced there were literally having to carry people out because they had gotten ill, and some people had gotten, you know, the beginning of a takeover. I'm not going to mention any names. Darn.
Frank, do you want to continue what you were saying about the kind of physical attacks you've experienced over the years at Camarillo?
Yeah, like I said, there was investigators in the past that were grabbed there, you know, had their hair pulled, and you know, poked in the back, you know, things like that. Nothing really any worse than that. I mean, it was really just kind of like just the feeling. You know, I had one too, like Joe mentioned, up in unit number 44, where I felt like I was channeling that male spirit that we had encountered up there a few times, and I had to be helped downstairs to the outside because at one point I wanted to.
You should have punched him first. You should have had.
Huh?
I think so too.
Yeah, I should have hit him. So left him with the. He was part of it, you know.
I remember going.
I remember also.
He didn't want to go